Hey, what's going on everyone? So today I decided to make a video that I've been planning to make for a really long time, and what really pushed me into it was that my wife has been making jokes about me for the longest time. That I've recorded countless amounts of videos introducing my S14, and it's always started like, I would like to introduce my 1995 Nissan 240SX, and then I would talk about the car for like 45 minutes. And then I would just put on my storage drive and never publish, never edit, just have it over there. Today I decided to make this video, edit it, and publish it. And that's, you know, Angelica, this video is coming, and it's specifically for you, to show you that I finally was able to do it. So this is my 1995 Nissan 240SX S14. It's a full carbon Kevlar S14. The body kit has been made by my dad back in my parents' house. It was a small 2-car garage, and I've been hit so many times. This kit has been repaired at least 5 times. The latest accident was I was at East 10 Pro-Am. First time out, just, you know, didn't drive the whole winter. First time out in practice, someone decided to in practice and just smashed right into me. Destroyed my entire suspension in the back. My axle did not have spares when it comes to the axle, so I had to drive Angelica for like 3 hours to get some axle parts. Bent my shock. Did a lot of damage. I'm saying that because don't judge the aesthetics of the kit, because this has been destroyed before. It's been in pieces, and my dad was trying to just patch it up, make it look somewhat okay to pass tech. Here's the rest of the kit. A lot of damages overall, a little dusty, but the whole thing carbon Kevlar. The hood itself, it weighs nothing, literally weighs nothing. We saved so much weight in the doors, and I believe we saved between 80 to 90 pounds per side versus the metal doors with glass and the panel inside. So we're looking at both sides, at least 160 pounds just indoors has been saved. So moving to the front, I don't have a bumper. In editing, I'll try to find a video of when I destroyed the bumper. I was in daily drift, and one of the guys that I was chasing had like a exhaust sticking out. So I was right on him, and the exhaust just sliced the bumper off. I don't know. I don't know what happened to it. Did we leave it there? I'm not sure. But I don't have the front bumper anymore, so we're gonna have to make a new one. But moving into the engine bay, this is a 2JZ GE. It's an NAT setup. Y-scope pistons. It's 9.6 to 1 compression, I believe. Running E85 Eagle rods, stock crank, ARP hardware, and the head is stock valves, SuperTech valve springs and retainers, and Brian Crower 276. I believe it's 276. The stage 3 plus cams. GTR coil packs. This is for the rear mount radiator, so it comes out with the line to the back like this. It has a Borgwater EFR turbo. The kit made 696 to the wheels at 18 pounds. I made the exhaust manifold, I made the intake manifold. It has a Macman 240 amp alternator from what I remember. OEM 2JZ water pump. So this water pump is it's just here to be here. The actual rotor on the water pump has been deleted. So this water pump is just here for pretty much accepting the coolant in the back. I didn't have to change my routing of the belt, and it was just easier to plug it in from the rear mount radiator instead of having to come out here somewhere. Here is the 2JZ GE tensioner. And as you can see right here, what we did is there's a bracket to keep this tensioner from moving. Under high RPM, when this moves, it can throw the belt. and that's a big issue on the 2JZs. So what we did was we made this bracket, and to save space, because I used to have a front mount radiator, this bracket is made the way it is. Sometimes you can buy a kit that has adjustable buckle, so you can kind of adjust it and do whatever you want to with it, but this bracket is just made this way so it doesn't take too much room. And it used to work with a front mount radiator. When it comes to coolers, power steering cooler, oil cooler, I wanted it in the front so it has plenty of airflow coming in. The power steering pump is a stock 2JZ GE pump. Works very well, never really had any issues with it, so we kept it this way. Some oil from the intercooler. I'm not sure if, I think it's a turbo. Or is it a turbo problem? No, it's not. Let's try here. So gonna have to figure out the, oh, actually some oil and the intake. So it's probably the seals spitting some oil in there. Something we're gonna have to definitely fix. Intake manifold. I'm not sure what throttle body it is. It's a 90mm throttle body. I bought it on Facebook from some forum or whatever it is, but no issues here. Here's the oil catch can. This is a power steering reservoir. This is actually a BMW reservoir, clutch, master cylinder, Willwood brakes, all lines were made by me. So it doesn't look the best, but everything on this car worked really well, especially this season when we fixed the cooling. We put the radiator in the back, no cooling issues. It ran so nicely. I just wish we did not have that crash right in the beginning of the season, because that set us back, pretty much destroyed the entire Pro-Am season for us. And it being the first time out, it was just terrible. But BC Racing coilovers, they're two-way adjustable, Wisefab suspension, stock Z32 brakes in the front. I think I said pretty much everything about the engine here. The transmission is a G-Force GSR, 4-speed NASCAR transmission. I have some issues with it now. Pretty much all gears are neutral, so I think gear selector or something broke, because the car does not move. ECU master electronics. This is an AUD or ADU 7. All the electronics here. EMU black, PMU, additional fuse box, Willwood handbrake, Sparco seat. This is an OMP, I believe. OMP fire suppression system. It's right there for the weight distribution to be on the right side. So I've tried to put everything I could onto the right side to offset my weight in the driver's seat, to put as many things as I possibly could on the other side. And you can see that moving to the back, the fuel cell is offset to the right. Unfortunately, the battery is here on the left side, but that was the only place I could actually put it in, so the battery is here. Then there's a rear mount radiator, which I already took out. The suspension in the back is Wisefab, and two-way adjustable BC Racing coilovers. And also, I want a quick change. We made the subframe ourselves. It has been working really well for the past 4 years, so I don't think we're gonna change anything here. We probably will end up getting some spare arms for the suspension. So fuel-wise, I am running a 2200cc injectors. I don't remember the brand. I think it's just an eBay E85 injectors, but this is a Radium fuel cell. It's a 6-gallon with FCST from Radium as well. Walbro pumps, and this system is enough to feed I think like 1200 horsepower on E85. This is a Canton tanks for the radiator. That the pipe comes out here to the radiator, I will end up showing you guys the radiator a little bit later, but this is pretty much the car. These doors are very cool. Not only that they're light, but have people literally smash into you, you know, run their wheels on your doors, and then it just comes out to be the same as it was before. So this is very cool. The flexibility of carbon Kevlar is just incredible. And for this kit to be the first kit that we ever made with my dad, to survive the amount of abuse I've put this car through, that is just insane. But now I finally have time to work on a 240, and the plan is to take the engine out, take the transmission out, do as many things as we possibly can today, and then in the next episode we'll be disassembling the 2J, and then in another episode we're gonna be disassembling the transmission. So I hope you guys will enjoy this.
AAA auto insurance. AAA auto insurance. Expect something more. But I probably should use Old Spice too.
HelloStretch.com.
Hello, Ben.
Big Ben.
Scooby-Doo. Who came to visit?
Ben. Ben came to visit.
I have actually a clean glove. Look at the schnooter. No, it's actually use the dirty glove on him too.
Alright, Big Ben. We're going to fix our
Okay. Bye, Ben. Bye, Skarby. I already have majority of the things unhooked. What I'm left with is the transmission mount and then the engine mounts. As you guys can see, the engine hoist is already up. It already has a little bit of tension. I don't think I need that much tension, because when you unscrew the bolts and everything, you don't want the engine to kind of pop up. Usually with the engine hoist, I just have it tensed, but not too much. I don't want to rip out the engine. I want it to gradually just unscrew the bolts, or the bolts on the transmission and the nuts on the mount, and the engine to gradually just lift up. As I was moving the engine a little bit, I noticed that I still didn't undo my lines that go to the throwout bearing and the bleeder line that goes right here. So I will have to undo it right now. It's very important whenever you guys take out the engine to look at, take it slowly, look at anything that can be still attached. Because if you damage something and, let's just say you damage and then you put it back together, you go to the event and you find out that your fuel pressure sensor is not working because you ripped out the wires. And ask me how I know that. So let's undo these lines and let's take the engine out. So for this season, I start running the rear mount radiator. The way I have this set up, this is a 2JZ GE, so it will be a little bit different for the GTE motor. So this is an NAT setup. The way I have it set up is I welded in an AN fitting, and this line is running towards the water pump underneath the manifold. It enters from the back of the pump. I kept the OEM pump. I took off the rotor that spins, so basically it doesn't do anything other than keeps the plumbing simple, the thermostat housing. So I kept that welded an AN fitting. This is an AN16, so dash 16 fitting. And then the routing of the belt is maintained. The plumbing to the block is maintained, and everything is, you know, as it should. So this is the way I set up the cooling on this car. I have the fuel regulator, fuel pressure regulator right on the block. So this is basically mounted directly on the block. This keeps the plumbing a little bit easier for me. Before I used to always undo these lines on the top, and then it was just a lot harder to take the engine out. So now this is the return to the tank, and then I have the feed right here. So the fuel comes in, it goes to both sides of the fuel rail. It goes through the fuel rail. Right here in the middle, you have the return to the fuel pressure regulator, and then it goes back to the fuel cell. So this is the setup for the fuel. And the way I have oil system set up on this car, I never really had any issues with the oil system, so I feel like this is a very good setup. So this is Earl's oil filter relocation housing. And this is coil red cooler. And the way I have this set up is I modified the oil pump for it to, instead of using this, as you can see right here, there's a passage that goes here into this old housing, oil filter housing. On the 2JZ GE, on the stock motor, there's basically a housing here, and then you put the oil filter somewhere here. So I blocked this hole, and then I blocked the hole on the oil pump, and instead I redirected the flow of the oil coming into the housing. It filters the oil, and now this is very important because clean oil feeds the turbo, which goes on the other side, and then clean oil goes through the cooler itself. It cools the oil, and then it enters here into the block to lubricate the bearings and everything else. And one of the last things I did on this one, on this setup for oil, is I have my oil pressure sensor as close to the motor as possible. See, there's so many lines here, and if I would have an oil pressure sensor somewhere here and I would break the line, let's just say right here, the line breaks. This sensor located in the wrong spot will still keep reading the pressure of the oil, but the engine will not be seeing any pressure, oil pressure. So on ECU Master, I have it set up, if the engine is not seeing oil pressure, it automatically shuts it off. This is a fail-safe system. And you know, you can have all the fail systems you want, but if you don't have the sensor in the correct spot doing what it's supposed to do, you might end up, you know, fooling that fail-safe on the ECU, thinking that it still has pressure while the engine is not seeing the pressure. So it's not seeing oil, and basically you're destroying your motor. So my sensor is as close as possible. There's no rubber lines, there's nothing that runs after it. So there's really nothing that can break. Screws in right here, and then you have the sensors wiring going to the ECU. So just to recap, because there's a lot, I will be taking the engine apart, so I'll show you the oil pump in the next video. But just to recap, I blocked the OEM passage of the oil here. I redirected the oil flow through this housing. The clean oil is going through the cooler, cools the oil, and then comes back to the motor. The sensor, the oil pressure sensor, is as close to the motor as possible, and then you also feed your turbo with clean oil. Now, since we're done with the motor, I can show you guys the engine bay, walk you guys through a little bit of what we've done for the, for the amount of years that we've drifted. There was multiple things that we found that worked or didn't work. So this is what we've learned over the years. I modified the front subframe. I relocated the rack closer for the better angle. When you turn, the steering binds if your steering rack is too far away, and it creates that angle where you go too far and then you can't really turn the steering wheel back. This is a boost solenoid. This is the max solenoid. If you guys need the numbers, I'll try to hold it still. This is the wiring connectors, bulkheads coming from the inside. Everything is nicely sealed. Here is the clutch line bleeding. So basically there's a line, as you guys could see when I was taking it off, comes out here. When you're bleeding the clutch, you just open this, bleed the clutch. Here's the Willwood master cylinder. There's one line that this line goes to the rear, goes to the bias. This is the valve that adjusts the amount of brake pressure that you have in the back, and then goes to the back wheels. This is very helpful, especially for drifting when you're left with brake and do stuff like this, in order to limit the amount of brakes that go to the rear wheels. Here is the front. One goes here to the driver's side wheel. The other one travels, goes inside, comes out this way, and feeds the passenger side. And that will be all for this video. Let me know in the comments if you guys enjoyed this kind of content. Maybe I was talking too much or showing too much. Maybe I wasn't showing enough. If there's anything specific you would like to see about this car, don't hesitate. Let me know in the comments what you guys want to see, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.